What's up, guys? Once again, it's your man in black, Badwolf. Let's talk about the do not detain list. Now, I've talked about this before, so I'm going to try to make this the last one. I've covered a lot of this material in other videos, but once again, a couple answers pop up. One of the viewers out there got his passport, and he's a diehard one of us, and he was like, "Oh, say I seen the cop's computer. It didn't show the do not detain." Let me tell you how it works. Some of you guys have this delusionary thing, and I guess it's because you guys don't have boots on the ground to actually know what's really, really happening. Let me break it down for you. Number one, the do not detain list is a real list. Okay. It actually has a secondary name for those on the inside. The do not detain list does not mean that when a cop runs your passport, a big list of everybody's just going to pop up and your name is sitting right there. The do not detain list is when they run the passport, a notification where the police's computer screen flashes, do not detain. He can't see the actual real list. It just tells him this person with this ID, if they are using this in the moment or the event to identify themselves and they have not done anything criminal, let them go. Leave them alone. They may or may not be watched by the Department of State or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera departments. Some of them usually say things like unlimited gun rights, constitutional rights, unlimited certain things of that nature. Okay. Um, there's pictures of them floating around on the internet. So if you can find them, most of them you can tell if they're real. If it's a black screen, usually either red or red orange, sometimes white writing. It's a real thing. The do not detain list does not mean that you're above the law or you can just do whatever you want to do. It means if you're not bothering anybody, you're not hurting anybody, and this officer runs your identification via the passport, you're not doing anything criminal, you're not in a suspect of a crime, you're not causing any harm or public controversy, you legally are good. You lawfully are good unless the cop oversteps his authority and starts to do something to you that he thinks is right or something inappropriate to you. And of course, by law, you should know what your rights are in that moment to protect yourself from an unlawful arrest. But be sure you know what you're doing because they will paint you in a certain way if you're not 100% factual in that moment, because that's what they do. So when this particular person was arrested, and mind you, they had used their card, and so many times they'd be like, I used my card, I got away, used my card, I got away, used my card, I got away, used my book, la 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 la. And then the one time they use it, and some cops is like, yeah, I don't care about any of that. They're like, oh, it doesn't work, it doesn't work, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It works because they've used it before, and other people have used it. When their rights were about to be violated, those cops stopped. Does that mean that all of the cops are going to listen to it? No. And in his case, I asked him, I said, did you see the computer screen the entire time? Did you watch him run the ID and seeing what pop up? Or did you get put into the back of the car sometime later and then your name was up then? You didn't see the screen, man. And that's if he even ran it. He may have pulled your name off of the video, off of the card or the book, and just ran that. Some of y'all are stupid as hell. One little snafu. You're fighting for your rights here. You don't think that they're trying to hide some of this? You don't think they watch my videos? Now, if you took your name off of the passport and ran it, that's identity theft. You're misapplying a person's information. You cannot force joinder by taking one's name off of a passport, a federal identification. You could even say this is a federal offense under misuse or abuse of a federal ID and information or materials or document. Force joiner into their public commercial jurisdiction. And everything that you told me was right, then that means that there was no warrant in existence, which means it was an unlawful arrest. This all is what I've dedicated this channel to, is where your rights get violated. Your rights got violated. Don't come back to me, any of you, anybody, and be like, oh, well, I used it a handful of times and it worked, but the one time it didn't, or I got pushback and they wouldn't let me do it. So this stuff doesn't work. You sound like a fucking kid. Be a grown ass man. Sue them. If they don't have a warrant for your arrest and they arrest you, it's a lawsuit. If they take your car and tow it, it's a lawsuit. If they unlawfully arrest you and you've done everything right, it's a lawsuit. Because you can't just do whatever you want to do in that moment. Though, as an American, if you're 100% right, you've got a right there, but you better be damn sure you're right. Because they'll paint you as the problem the entire time. So be cool. Get through the matter and you sue them. Unfortunately, those are really your only main options. And if you choose violence, they're going to choose more violence. And then they're going to paint your story the way they want it told. So might as well get paid. Any of y'all that have these problems and the next words out of your mouth aren't, I'm suing them now over this, I don't want to hear it. If you want to talk about it, you want to pay me for a consult, cool. You want a court case consult over it and how to move, what violations that were there and how to do that, cool. But I'm not going to listen to anybody complain because it didn't work perfectly. Your own damn life doesn't work perfectly, much less trying to dig out these laws, rights, and freedoms that have been hidden that you're now using. And now you have to fight for them like an American, not a punk pussy. And you're not telling me you're suing them out of the gate for this? Now, they haven't bothered me in quite some time. Pretty sure they know I am. I'm on their record. Hell, last time I haven't seen the tow truck company pull up and take off. They know who I am. And I haven't even applied a federal lawsuit. So should I be bothered? First thing we're doing, once I get out of that scenario, it's lawsuit city. I let them slide on the 2 or 3 that happened before, but now that we know we have everything, I know I have everything done right. It's already been looked over by my cop friends. We're like, yeah, you got it all right. Yeah, cool. That means anybody out there who bothers me, it's a lawsuit. And it's not going to be pretty. I'm going after your bonds, the station, and you in your private capacity. I'm going to try to take your house, your kid's shit, your wife's shit, everything. I'm going to hit every angle. I'm going to hit every stair on the way down and up. If you're not willing to do that, then get the fuck out of doing right to travel or any of these processes, putting your stuff in trust and whatever else the correct ways, like I show you guys in these videos. For real. Some of y'all like the sound of freedom, but y'all don't want to fight for it. That don't sound very American to me. And I've been the only one on here teaching y'all how to move correctly from the legal to the lawful, private to commercial, maritime, statutory, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's people at your damn job that don't like you. So imagine some cop who thinks he's Billy Badass, who's like, oh, I've seen the videos. I read the FBI PDFs. I've seen the training videos. The guy in the shady blue van, kind of rusted out. White guy pulls his hat down and says, "Oh, I'm traveling." If that was the case, it would be all over the news every day. They would use it if they had the materials to use it, because the majority of the people are doing this now the right way, and they're not doing crazy stuff. People who are problems, who've always been against the government or are against the police, which is not us, but those people, they've been a problem since day one. Now that they try to use some of my information or this kind of stuff, now they try to use that to do what they're doing, to carry on their malicious plans, but that's not a majority of the people. And shame on you, courts, and to any officer or law enforcement who wants to obfuscate our rights. Anybody, anybody on American soil and not party to the Constitution who took an oath, and you're an American, I don't care what position you are, cop, magistrate, marshal, attorney, whatever, and you're against Americans having their rights and freedoms, once again, point out what law says the right to travel or the right to use your vehicle privately has been prohibited by law. It's against the law. Show me that, and I'll stop, because there is none. Have they ruled that in some cases people were driving, or that person who was driving didn't realize that that's a legal thing? That there's a difference between traveling, right to travel, interstate commerce, and the private use of your conveyance of the day, which has been in a federal court case, and they won. So then there's a difference. Driving is commercial. You don't always have to use it for commercial purposes. It can be used for personal use. That's non-commercial. Even the word non-commercial really is their word. So technically, me and anybody else saying, "Oh, well, I'm non-commercial," you put non-commercial in your driver's license, you're technically and legally wrong, because non-commercial means non-business, which still denotes you're in the commercial aspect or avenue, which means you have a driver's license, but you're in downtime. You're using it for persona use. Your persona is your straw man, your legal person. We should be saying we have no obligation to drive, or we are using our private conveyance for pleasure. They don't regulate that. Why do you think the states have information on non-resident registration? That is their attempt to shore up that little area before you then break into the complete private or foreign registration. That's the last stop before you're completely private. So the do not detain list only informs them that they should not stop you or hinder you. If you're going to use your passport for identification, your book is all a good thing. You should have this passage memorized. The Secretary of the State of the United States of America hereby requests all whom it may concern to permit the citizen forward slash, meaning two separate things, national of the United States, named herein to pass without delay or hindrance, and in case of need, to give all lawful aid and assistance. Any officer or judge who's taken their oath are thereby, if you've done everything right, you're not hurting anybody, you're doing anything criminal, are in violation of their oath of office and have just enacted war against an American and are treasonous. So don't think that the detain list means you can just do anything you want. Not what it says. It's not what it's there for. It doesn't say you have diplomatic powers. But if you're not willing to fight for your rights, don't just do stuff because do not detain. That sounds like, I can just do whatever. It's not that's the reason why they don't want you to know about it or have it. Literally, you're that person. And if you're not going to fight for it, then you're the person they love. because they can keep squashing you with their boot, and you're really not American. If they're doing business against us for money, we should be doing business against them for money too, and a whole lot more or as much as we can get. So if you want to do a court case, talk about it, I got you all day. But at the same time, if you're not willing to take the steps necessary, why bother? Well, it sounded cool, but it doesn't work because it failed me one time. What are you doing that you're always being bothered by the police? And why are you keep running to your passport? These are the questions. If you have an alternative motive for doing this and not just to be left alone, and you truly are being gang stalked or bothered, then you sue them. If not, you're just whining because you can't get your way all the time. Either you sue or you put this down and you walk away because that's what they want anyway. Either you're American or you're an American. That's up to you. So the do not detain list is a real thing, and it works. Thousands of people over the years have told me they've seen it, seen the list, or seen it pop up on the computer. I've seen it. So I'm sure you, one person who didn't see it because you got put into the back of the car after the screen was gone, but me and the thousands, the tens of thousands of other people who have seen it, I'm sure we're wrong. And you're right. Like I said, we do not condone any illegal or illicit or poor actions or decisions and then run into the path or use it. So they don't want you to have it in the first place. If you are doing using it the correct way, and these things are legitimately happening, then you need to sue them. That's how the system here works. Let's see what the AI has to say about it. We already know the AI is a liar in some areas, and it said it's biased on its own. So there's that. Now, understand, like, if you look here closely, it's only pulling from the internet. It pulled from sections from Reddit. Oh, yeah, because Reddit's the truth. Avo, yeah, okay. Just Answer, Open Fox. So, though it does say that the do not detain list is not a public official legal status, remember, cops can get into trouble for showing you the screen, their computer screen for this and information on there in general. So there's no way they're going to let you see it. There's no way. Some of us may have, we'll say, possibly for educational purposes, certain individuals who may provide certain things, like a glimpse at certain things. So we know it's real. It just said, do you want a script to debunk the do not detain list? But you just said it was real up here. See, this is why you can't trust these scatterbrained entities or programs. And then down here, when I challenged it on there, it says, "Oh, you're right to push it back. Why you can't trust these shit bags." Sovereign citizen crap isn't real. Yet, of course, once again, we know that there's no such word as sovereign citizen. How to structure a debunked video? I didn't even ask for that. You see how it's already biased on this? I've seen the list. See, once again, now they're bringing up American state nationals. Okay, that's by I believe Anna von Reitz. You have to be careful because that they're watching her, and anybody who's a head person in that. So that's why you guys, all of those people push back on me when I said just call yourself a national of the United States because in their language that's all that they recognize. I hate to say it like this, but don't go putting targets on your back. You don't believe me? Go watch the Fearless Floyd show. He's been talking about that. Okay, next. Sovereign citizen is not an enumerated legal status anywhere in the U.S. law, and people who use non-mainstream constitutional status arguments are still charged, tried, sentenced as ordinary U.S. citizens. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. That's what I was arguing right here. The hell does stupid ad come from? Ads everywhere. The FBI and the DHS define sovereign citizens as individuals who reject U.S. citizenship or legitimacy of government and claim they are immune from laws, but they are very clear that these beliefs have no basis in law and do not create actual legal immunity. So this is truthful on face value about these persons who are just U.S. citizens, but let's get the rest of it correct. The government is our trustees. We put the government in place. The government is a dead entity. We gave it life. We gave those people in that position the ability to be trustees over us. We, the American people and nationals, are, in fact, governed by our consent. We just choose not to do these things on our own, but to create a system that can work for us. But there are bad people out there who are against that and cannot live any other way other than being belligerents, combatants, thieves, criminals, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, even though they want to call them sovereign citizens, they're still U.S. citizens, and that's how they are prosecuted. There is no such thing as a sovereign citizen. It doesn't exist in law. Once again, there's no such term as state nationals. Living man, living woman, these are facts. There's nothing called American national. As in a national, you just call them national. Now, if you were in another country, you might use that terminology, but this wording is not a legal or codified word. It's term, these two words put together, term. And as a national, still, you are still subject to the U.S. jurisdiction and certain U.S. laws. Foreign citizens are subject to American law while in the U.S. What that really means is that to a degree, by being here, you agree to act appropriately. So once again, we caught the chat lying again, just said the do not detain list was real, and then turned around and said, oh, here's how you debunk the do not detain list. It's a liar. You can't trust anything that it says. But the person, if you don't know, you're going to go with whatever it says. I think it's the truth. So you still have to use your mind. You still have to get these books because they can manipulate the AI. Hell, if you really want to know the truth, there could be a government programmer or a state shill, elite cabal group somewhere hack my chat midstream and make it say these things if they wanted to. Trust yourself, trust your mind, trust the books. Trust that. Here's one thing, too. The AI does not know the legal level like we do. It also does not know how to use the law to argue in your favor. Don't forget that. I'll talk to you guys later.